Good morning, everybody. Our lesson today is about graphing linear equations using slope-intercept form. As our find the slope and the y-intercept of the equation. The equation is y equals 2x plus 1. You know that the slope is the coefficient of x when the equation is written in the form of y equals mx plus c. This equation is given in slope-intercept form y equals 2x plus 1. The coefficient of x is 2. This means that the slope is 2. The y-intercept c is the constant number in the equation y equals to mx plus c. C, the constant number here is the 1. This means the y-intercept is. The graph of a linear equation in two variables, the two variables are usually x and y, is a line. That's why it's called a linear. So whenever I want to graph a linear equation, I'm going to get a straight line. If you know an equation is linear, you can graph it by finding any 2 points in the graph, plotting these 2 points and drawing the line connecting them. You know that if you want to draw a straight line, 2 points are enough to connect them and get a straight line. So if I plot 2 points in the graph, of course using my equation, join them, I will get the graph of this equation. The first point can be the y-intercept. You know that the y-intercept is a point where the line crosses the y-axis. So I can start using the y-intercept as my first point. What about the second point? One of the many different ways to find another point is to use the slope. So I can start plotting the y-intercept first, then I can use the slope to be able to plot. Let me start talking about the y-intercept. Let me show you some examples about the y-intercept. Look here, the red line is intersecting the y-axis as 2, at 2. This means that c is 2, the y-intercept is 2. The red line here is intersecting the y-axis at the origin at 0. This means the y-intercept is 0. The third example, the red line is intersecting the y-axis at -1. This means that c is -1. So if I want to plot, if I tell you c is 2, you go to the y-axis 2, you plot the point. C is 0, go to the origin and plot it. C is -1, go to the y-axis -1 and plot the point. That's how do I plot the first. Now, how can I use the slope? The slope is the steepness of the line, also commonly known as rise over run. Rise is the vertical change between 2 points in the graph, while run is the horizontal change. Let me show you what do I mean. Between any 2 points in the graph on the line, if you go vertically, this is called the rise. When the rise is positive, I count from down to up. Like here, for example, the rise is 1, 2, 3, 4. The run is the horizontal change, so it is only one step. The slope of this line is 4 over 1, rise over run. If the slope is negative, in this case we count down. These are some information about slope from Wikipedia. You can stop the video and read them. Now, how can I use all the previous information to graph a line? I have to go through 5 steps. Step 1, make sure that the equation is written in a slope-intercept form, which means it's in the form of y equals to mx plus c. Step 2, pick out the slope and the y-intercept from the equation. Step 3, start plotting the first point that you have, which is the y-intercept. Step 4, use the slope, rise over run. If the slope is already a fraction, it's obvious where are the rise and the run. If it is a whole number, just make it over 1, so the run will be 1. From the y-intercept point, which you plotted in the previous step, count the steps up when the rise is positive, down when it's negative. And then continue counting to the right using the run to find the second point. So you don't stop and find the point unless you finish counting the rise and the run. The end destination is the second point. Step 5, join the 2 points using a straight line. Again, the 2 points are, the first point, it is the y-intercept. The second point is the last destination that you reached after counting rise and run. I want you now to stop the video and to copy the steps on your copybook so you can follow them when you will be solving your assignment. Example 1, I'm going to apply all the previous steps, the 5 steps here. I want to make sure first that my equation is given in slope-intercept form. Yes, it is y equals to mx plus c. Second, pick out the slope and the y-intercept. Third, this is my y-intercept. It is 4, which means it is 0, 4. I go on the y-axis and plot the point here, 4. I want to use now the slope. The slope is 2. It means it is 2 over 1. From this point, I'm going to count 2 steps up, 1 step to the right, so I will reach this point. You can repeat using the slope one more time because getting more points will be more helpful. So from this point, I'm going to count rise 2, run 1. After that, join the points that you have, and you will have the graph of the equation y equals to x plus 4. Some examples here. I have the equation y equals to x plus 1. I'm going to start from the y-intercept 1, and then I count 2 up, the rise, 1 to the right, the run. I can repeat this again, 2 up, 1 to the right. You can see that this line is passing through these points. The second one, y equals negative 3x plus 3. The y-intercept is 3, so I'm going to start from here. Since the slope is negative 3, it means it's negative 3 over 1. The rise is negative, so I'm going to count 3 steps down. 1, 2, 3, and the run is 1. At the other point, join the 2 points.